Another day, another round of severe storms. A viewer shared these pictures taken this evening northwest of Jackson Lake State Park in northeast Colorado. Yeah, things are still cooking out there. We're glad you're with us. I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Phil Lipoff. After a few straight days of it, we are looking ahead for a break in the severe weather. 9 News Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin is here with us. And Kathy, I know you enjoy that kind of forecasting. You certainly don't wish for severe weather, but we're done with it for now, right?
We're going to get a break, Phil, for the next 4 days as high pressure rebuilds over the area. Today, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. It was all about the hail. Large hail reports from Douglas County to Weld County up into southeastern Wyoming. 1-inch diameter hail, and that can certainly do some damage, break some windows, and, well, hurt you if you're out and about. So you don't want to see hail that might be quarter, ping pong, golf ball size. We saw that on Monday, but all of that activity finally starting to wind down. The center of circulation over southeastern Colorado taking the heavier showers and severe thunderstorm threat away from Colorado. A few showers linger around Lamar, Springfield, Campo, and this is a trend that we'll see for the next few hours. But for the most part, the warming and drying trend will kick in tomorrow. Enough heating of the day, we'll get 1 or 2 that might pop up in the foothills. Temperatures are going to bottom out in the mid-50s with clear skies tonight. We're on our way to a warm day tomorrow. We'll come close to 90 tomorrow and then push into the 90s for Friday and the weekend. An early preview of summer. I'll have details on that and when our next round of severe weather enters the forecast.
Kathy, thank you. This is new tonight. The Defense Department says a Fort Carson soldier has been killed in Iraq. Sergeant Devin Seibel died Sunday at an air base there. The DoD says the 26-year-old was killed in a training-related incident. They did not provide more detail about that, but say it is under investigation. The DoD says Seibel was from Robinson, Texas. He was 26 years old.
The U.S. Department of Education is threatening to pull funding from Jeffco Public Schools over its policies on transgender students. The department's Civil Rights Division sent its first warning in March. It gave the district 10 days to reverse policies that allow transgender students to play sports or choose overnight school trip accommodations that match their gender identity. The feds claim those policies have led to dozens of trans students playing on district athletic teams, claims the district calls erroneous. The department sent a follow-up letter today warning enforcement could happen in 10 days if the district keeps its policies. The district says state law requires them to accommodate students based on their gender identity. It says the Civil Rights Division abandoned efforts to work with them and is now asking them to come back to the negotiating table. Denver tested what happens when cars move out of the way outside a block of Winecoop Street in front of Union Station.
Now the question is whether that one-week experiment should become something bigger, perhaps. 9 News reporter Ria Jha joins us now and tells us what the city found out.
Usually when you walk out of Union Station, you're seeing Uber pickups or a line of cars parked out front, but now the city is studying to see if they can make this block car-free. So they tested it back in October, and tonight we have those results.
Union Station really is a front door for people coming to Denver.
Outside the city's front door, Denver officials wanted to know whether people make a better welcome than traffic. Jill Locantore with Denver Streets Partnership sure thinks so.
And really that's what's holding it back right now is the volume of vehicular traffic that we're allowing into this space.
Back in October, the city closed the 1700 block of Winecoop for a week-long pilot to help study the feasibility of making the block pedestrian only. 7 months later, the data is in. The city found foot traffic increased 24% during the closure.
People shop, cars do not shop. If there's anywhere that could thrive on people accessing it through transit and walking and biking, this is the place.
According to the data, the people agree with Jill. Nearly 80% of surveyors supported limiting some vehicle traffic to make more room for pedestrians. And nearly the same number said the closure made it easier to walk, roll, or use transit in the area.
It's definitely aligned with the city's desire to reactivate downtown.
The biggest concern about closing the street to cars is about what happens around it. During the pilot closure, the city found traffic increased on Wazee Street and rideshare pickups shifted to Wewata. But most intersections saw little or no change in traffic traffic flow.
With such a minor change, even with a short-term demonstration, that suggests in the long term it would hardly be noticeable at all.
While the test showed a temporary closure on Wine Coop can work, Dottie called the pilot just one small step in a much larger process. And right now, there's no additional work on the Wine Coop study officially planned.
The city said nothing about Wine Coop will change from this study alone, but before anything moved forward, they would need to have conversations with the neighborhood and business owners in this area. But what the study did show was that it is possible and that people are for it. Reporting in Denver, Ria Cha, 9 News.
Dozens of drivers are dealing with damage after a semi-truck spilled nails and screws onto Highway 285 near Morrison. CSP says this happened about noontime yesterday. In the hours since, they've gotten calls from over 50 drivers whose cars were impacted. We talked with a woman who says she found a dozen screws in her front driver side tire alone. She says she had to replace all of her tires, spending $1,800. She filed the claim with the truck company's insurance.
I just hope that the people that were affected do their due diligence and put pressure on either the trucking company or the insurance company to make sure that he's held accountable. That's all.
CSP says troopers found the driver of the semi-truck. They say that driver is cooperating with their investigation and has not yet been charged. According to CDOT, crews have since cleared the road.
A small town in the metro area wants to gate off public streets. Neighboring cities are now threatening to fire back. The town of Beaumar, sandwiched between Denver and Littleton, it has approved plans to install gates on public roads. That would include Sheridan Boulevard. Under the plan, residents would get automatic access. Visitors would need a code. This week, the mayors of both Denver and Littleton sent letters demanding Beaumar stop, or they'll install their own barriers, cutting off Beaumar's most convenient routes in and out.
We expect all of our streets to be public streets and have access to public streets and be able to use them when we need to. Literally locked out of the conversation and the access in the right of way.
Beaumar receives state road funding from gas taxes and vehicle registration fees since last summer. That's totaled $27,000. The town has not yet responded to our request for comment. Over the last 6 months, Steve on Your Side has heard from dozens of people who've been waiting for a free e-bike. A bike shop in the Denver metro promised to erase the cost using a tax credit.
All customers had to do was to pay sales tax. But months after saying many say they did, they still haven't seen their bike. Here is 9 News consumer investigator Steve Stager.
Meant to grab your attention, the sign on the side of a Lakewood building read, "No catch. Free e-bikes."
Thought this was like kind of an opportunity to get a really good price e-bike.
I've done this long enough to know there's almost always a catch.
I was like, what is going on?
Hey, where's my bike? I ordered this bike. I never got it.
So when the emails started flowing into Steve on Your Side, I knew there had to be more.
I was at my 12-week mark. I haven't heard anything.
Like the 12th week is like today. I don't think I'm getting a bike this week.
They should have said something about me coming to get that bike by now.
Yet 4 months in, I have yet to figure out what that catch might be.
It would have worked out perfect for me if I got the bike. I'm still waiting.
Is Bear Trail Bike's free e-bike promotion a scam?
The company behind the sign is called Bear Trail Bikes.
100% it's not a scam.
It's 100% real.
They market something novel.
It is actually free, bro. It is not a scam.
Using a Colorado state tax credit, they'll get you an e-bike for free.
We're giving out free e-bikes. You want to take one?
Through the end of the year last year, Colorado was offering bike sellers a $500 tax credit on e-bikes to lower the price of a bike.
It takes a little while, but it's legit.
Bear Trail Bike's pitch was simple.
Now we're giving 2 free bikes.
All you had to do is pay the sales tax to get the bike.
I want to say it was $50.
The only issue is, when do you get that bike?
Get an email, confirmation. Okay, this looks great. 6 to 12 weeks. I'm good with 6 to 12 weeks.
Steve on Your Side has heard from dozens of people who paid, waited the 12 weeks, and are still bikeless. It made us wonder, can a company claim a credit before they deliver a bike? And how many credits has this company claimed? So we asked the state. We were told taxpayer laws prevent us from sharing information, but that they are, quote, looking very closely at these complaints about Bear Trail Bikes. At first, the state wanted $5,000 for records on that. We negotiated it down to $300, agreed to pay only to have the state tell us we couldn't have anything. And this was interesting. The law they cited to deny those records mentions an investigation. They did, however, say they were looking into complaints about bikes that Bear Trail had delivered. that may not have met safety standards to qualify for the tax credit. So then we started looking into the bikes the company advertised, the Ursus Cub. Ursus has its own website, a website saying it's a Boulder-based company with 45,000 bikes on the road. Thing is, I couldn't find a company in Boulder with that name in state records.
Yeah, we're trying to get some information.
So I tried calling Bear Trail Bikes.
We've heard from a lot of people who haven't had their bikes delivered, and I'm trying to figure out kind of what's going on.
The owner didn't want me to record our nearly hour-long phone call. He says nothing in state law says bikes have to be delivered before claiming a tax credit, and says delays his customers are experiencing are happening because the state won't release the tax credit. The company's even sent emails to customers urging them to contact state officials to get them to release the money. He told me he's offering refunds for customers who don't want to wait. Said he'd talk to his attorney about whether or not he'd do an on-camera interview with us. We haven't heard back about that interview. But we did drop by a bike pickup event a few days later. The line was around the building. We learned about the event from a woman who emailed us in the beginning.
I only got the e-bike.
She got her free e-bike after what she says was a year-long wait. Perhaps that was the catch.
Or was it? This is the spot where that pickup event happened 5.5 weeks ago. It was Bear Trail Bike's second location in the metro area, and now there's an available sign on the window. On their website, Bear Trail Bikes says that they've paused their free e-bike program until they can catch up with orders, and they told us by email that anyone with concerns can reach out to them. I'm Steve Stager, Steve on your side, 9 News.